Naples. Extra time. A 38-year-old in green steals the ball from a wandering goalkeeper and walks it into an empty net. The stadium freezes for a beat. Then he shuffles to the corner flag and dances. You can see it even now. The smile, the hips, the flags shaking a little in the night air. A moment of pure, unexpected joy. Why did that moment stick so deeply in our memory? Because for 1 month, an African team became the world's team. Because a 38-year-old sprinted past the calendar and made time itself feel slow. This is the story of how joy, cunning, and courage carried Cameroon to the very edge of a World Cup semifinal, and how one simple dance said more than any speech ever could. Italia 90 arrived wrapped in caution. It was a tournament of tight defenses and nervous, tactical chess. Goals were rare treasures. The back pass to the keeper was still legal, and teams used it to slow the game to a crawl. The headlines belonged to dour pragmatism. But football always finds a way to write a better story. Into this world of quiet anxiety walked the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, a team in brilliant green shirts and red shorts, who seemed to have missed the memo about playing with fear. They did not play for a draw, they played for a feeling. But their greatest hero wasn't even on the map. Milla was 38 years old. He considered his story with the national team finished, a book closed and placed on the shelf. He was living in a kind of gentle exile, playing for a small club, Saint Pierroise, on the tranquil French island of Réunion in the Indian Ocean. Life was warm. The pressure was low. He trained beside the sea, not for the world's biggest stage, but for the love of the game itself. The running was easier there. The stakes were smaller. He was, for all anyone knew, gracefully fading into legend. But a nation does not forget its heroes so easily. As the World Cup approached, a feeling grew back home. The team needed something more. It needed experience. It needed a soul. The story, as Milla himself tells it, became a national appeal. The call came directly from Cameroon's president, Paul Biya, who urged him to reconsider, to return for one last duty, one last roar. The legend is impossible to confirm with paperwork, but it doesn't matter. It felt true. And so the old lion packed his bags, leaving the quiet beaches of Réunion for the noise and glare of Italy. He did not return as a starter. His age and the pace of the modern game meant that was never the plan. He came as an elder statesman, an icon held in reserve. The coach, Valery Nepomniachtchi, a quiet man from the Soviet Union, understood his unique value. Milla's job was to change a game's rhythm, to read the match from the sidelines, then release his wisdom and fresh legs against tired opponents. A new role, years before people gave it a name. The tournament opened on the 8th of June. Cameroon faced Argentina, the reigning champions, led by the greatest player on earth. The script was already written, but Cameroon tore it up. The game was a street fight. Tackles flew. Then a cross floated in, and Francois Omambiak rose, hanging in the Milan air. His header was powerful, straight at the keeper, Neri Pumpido. It should have been a routine save, but the ball squirmed through his hands and trickled over the line. A mistake, a miracle. Cameroon had the lead. Argentina, stunned, threw everything forward. The game turned brutal. Cameroon were reduced to 10 men. Then, in the final minutes, a cynical, shocking foul saw them go down to 9. They were hanging on by a thread, defending with pure heart. The final whistle blew. 1-0. The champions beaten. The first time an African nation had ever defeated the holders at a World Cup. The world took notice. Against a sharp Romanian side, the next game was deadlocked. The famous green shirts were starting to look tired, their early fire dimming. Then, with a little over 30 minutes to go, the call went to the bench. Milla came on. For 20 minutes, nothing. The game drifted. Then, with just 14 minutes left, he exploded. He received the ball, held off a defender with the strength of a man half his age, and hammered a shot into the roof of the net. The stadium erupted. And then he ran. Not to his teammates, not to the bench, but to the corner flag. And there he danced. A little shimmy, a gentle sway of the hips. It was the makossa, a rhythm from the coast of Cameroon, an expression of pure, unscripted joy. Just 10 minutes later, he did it again. He spun through two defenders and finished with the calm of a man who had seen it all. Then back to the same corner, same shuffle, same smile. A whole planet learned his name that night. This was the pattern. Let the young lions run the opponent ragged, then unleash the old one. All four of Roger Milla's goals in Italy came as a substitute. He was the perfect super sub before the term was even a cliché. He didn't need 90 minutes to understand a game. He could read its secrets from the bench. He could see where defenders were tiring, where space would open up. He finished the tournament as the joint third top scorer. He did it without ever hearing the opening whistle on the pitch. He turned mere minutes into monuments. In the round of 16, they faced Colombia and their flamboyant goalkeeper, René Higuita. El Loco, the madman. Higuita played as a sweeper, dribbling far out of his penalty area, taking risks no other keeper would dare. The game was 0-0, deep into extra time. Legs were heavy, minds were tired, and Higuita, true to form, wandered out towards the halfway line, ball at his feet. Milla saw it. He did not sprint wildly at him. He waited. He stalked. He guided Higuita into a trap. Then near the center circle he pounced. A clean steal, one touch to steady himself. The goal was 40 yards away and empty. He rolled the ball home. No frantic sprint needed, just patience, cunning, and perfect nerve. He smiled and went to the corner. The flag shook again. The shuffle returned. Naples felt like home. Just a few minutes later, he scored again to make it certain. He slalomed in from the left, a blur of green against tired defenders. He slipped it home with the calm of a man who had seen every kind of goal imaginable. 2 goals in 3 minutes of extra time. The whistle blew. Cameroon were through. The first African quarterfinalists in World Cup history. The roar that night felt like a door opening for an entire continent. The quarterfinal was against England. Cameroon trailed at halftime. The old lion stood up. He came on and immediately changed the game. First, he drove into the box and won a penalty. Emmanuel Koundé scored. 1-1. Then Milla found the pass. A clever, perfectly weighted ball to Louis Ekeke, who lifted it over the keeper. 2-1. They were 7 minutes away. 7 minutes from a World Cup semifinal. An achievement that seemed impossible just weeks before. The world held its breath. But England had their own legends. Gary Lineker, a predator in the box, darted through and was brought down. A penalty. He stepped up, cool as ice, and sent the keeper the wrong way. 2-2. Extra time loomed. The tiredness now was bone deep. And in extra time, the same story. A tired challenge, another run from Lineker, another penalty. He scored again. 3-2. The dream was over. The final whistle came like a cold wind, the near miss of a lifetime. But they had won something more enduring than a single football match. In defeat, their legend was sealed. They had made the entire world cheer for green shirts and red shorts. They had proved on the biggest stage that an African team could be more than just a colorful participant. They could be contenders. Their performance had a direct, tangible legacy. In the wake of Italia '90, FIFA awarded Africa a 3rd spot for the next World Cup. They had literally changed the map of world football. They forced the game to open its doors a little wider. And the corner flag dance traveled farther than any broadcast signal. It became a global meme before memes existed. A shorthand for joy. No crest, no sponsor, just a man by the flag, moving to a rhythm from home. Broadcasters replayed it for years. FIFA enshrined it in every montage. Kids copied it on dusty pitches in city courts. It belonged to everyone. 4 goals in 1990, all from the bench. Then time took another bow. At the next World Cup in 1994, Milla, now 42 years and 39 days old, scored again. He remains the oldest goal scorer in World Cup history. He ran to the corner. The shuffle was a little slower. The smile was exactly the same. We still see it and remember. For a month in Italy, an old lion taught the world a new rhythm and made time itself stand still to watch him dance. Legacy is a quiet word, but this one is loud in the heart. The first African quarterfinalists, the world's team for a summer, an ageless hero who taught the game a new rhythm. If this story warmed the memory of why you fell in love with football, subscribe to Ink Pitch and join us for the next one. The fire is always on here. We tell football's greatest stories, hand-drawn, every week. Until then, thank you for watching.